The massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. Its surface shimmered like dewdrops on grass, catching the sun's rays and breaking them into gentle rainbows. Unlike the sharp, aggressive designs humans had imagined alien ships would have, this vessel looked more like a giant seed pod floating in space. Inside the United Nations emergency chamber, world leaders gathered around screens showing the alien vessel. General Roberts stood at the front, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the readings from Earth's defense systems. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," a young technician announced. "The message is, it's in perfect English." The room fell silent as a soft, melodious voice filled the chamber. "We come seeking friendship and safety. We are the Meadows, and we bring gifts of knowledge." The general's eyes narrowed. In his 30 years of military service, he had learned that gifts often came with hidden costs. "Can we trust them?" He asked no one in particular. Ambassador Wells stepped forward, her white hair neatly pulled back. "We should at least hear them out. Look at their ship. No visible weapons, completely exposed engines. Either they're incredibly naive, or they're truly peaceful." The first meeting took place in a specially prepared chamber in Geneva. The Meadows, as they called themselves, were tall, slender beings with skin that looked like flowing grass. Their eyes were large and golden, filled with what humans would later learn was centuries of wisdom. High Elder, their leader, bowed deeply before the human delegation. "We have watched your species for some time," it said, its voice like wind through leaves. "You are young, but your hearts are strong. You fight to protect, not to conquer." Ambassador Wells leaned forward. "You said you came seeking friendship and safety. Safety from what?" The High Elder's skin rippled, showing patches of darker green, a sign of distress the humans would later learn. The Dominion Empire spreads through the galaxy like a plague. They consume resources, enslave species, and destroy those who resist. We are farmers, creators of life. We cannot fight them. General Roberts, who had insisted on attending, spoke up. "And you want us to fight them for you?" "No," High Elder replied. "We want to trade. Our agricultural technology can triple your food production. Our biological knowledge can help cure many of your diseases. In return, we ask only for a home among the stars where we can live in peace, under your protection." The negotiations lasted 3 days. The Meadows were honest about everything: their capabilities, their weaknesses, and the threat the Dominion posed. They showed videos of distant worlds burning, of species being enslaved, of cultures being erased. On the 4th day, Earth made its decision. "We accept your proposal," Ambassador Wells announced in the chamber. "Earth will provide you protection, and we welcome you as our first galactic allies." High Elder's skin turned a bright, joyful green. "You are making a wise choice. Together, we can help each other grow." General Roberts stepped forward, his face stern. "But understand this: if the Dominion comes, they'll face the full might of Earth's military. We protect our own." The Meadows shared their technology freely. Within months, Earth's agricultural output had doubled. New medicines cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. The Meadows helped establish colonies on Mars and Venus, transforming the hostile planets into garden worlds. But they also brought warnings. The Dominion was expanding, growing closer to Earth's sector of space. They shared intelligence about Dominion weapons, tactics, and weaknesses. Earth listened and prepared. Factories retooled to produce spacecraft. Armies trained with new weapons. A defense network spread across the solar system. 1 year after first contact, Earth launched its first fleet of advanced warships. As General Roberts watched them take position around the solar system, he smiled grimly. Let the Dominion come. They would learn what it meant to face a species that had spent its entire history perfecting the art of warfare. The High Elder stood beside him on the observation deck. "You truly would fight for us." "We're humans," Roberts replied simply. "Protecting those who need it is what we do best." 10 years passed quickly for humanity. The alliance with the Meadows had changed Earth in ways nobody could have predicted. Green cities stretched toward the sky, their walls covered in food-producing plants. Hunger had become a thing of the past, and humanity's reach extended far beyond their solar system. On the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Guardian, Admiral James watched as another alien ship approached. This one looked like flowing water caught in space, its surface rippling with blues and greens. "The Deeps have arrived," his second-in-command reported. "They're the third species this month to seek our protection." James nodded. Earth's reputation had spread through the galaxy. They were known as defenders of the peaceful. After the Meadows came the Prisms, crystalline beings who could turn sunlight into pure energy. Then the Winds arrived, gaseous creatures who could predict weather patterns across entire solar systems. Now the Deeps, masters of ocean worlds and underwater technology, wanted to join the alliance. "Send them landing coordinates for the Pacific meeting point," James ordered. The Deeps could only negotiate while submerged in water, so Earth had built a special underwater conference center just for them. Ambassador Wells, now with a decade of alien diplomacy behind her, waited in the underwater chamber. Her aging face was lit by the blue glow of the ocean around her. The Deep's representative flowed into the room like a living wave. "Earth protects the peaceful," the Deep speaker said, its voice coming through the water translator. "We bring ocean technology, the ability to build cities beneath the waves. Will you shelter us from the Dominion?" Wells smiled. She had heard similar requests before. "Tell me about your people first." The Deep speaker shared their story. The Deeps had once controlled thousands of ocean worlds, but the Dominion had already taken half. Their people were scientists and explorers, not warriors. They needed help. Meanwhile, in orbit around Mars, Lieutenant Mark worked with the Prisms to install their crystal technology into Earth's newest warships. The crystalline beings could focus energy into powerful weapons and unbreakable shields. "Your species learns quickly," the crystal sage said, its body glowing with approval. "Most take decades to master our technology." Mark wiped sweat from his forehead. "We have good teachers, and plenty of motivation to learn fast." The Wind Whisperer floated nearby, its gaseous form shifting between purple and gold. Dominion ships approached the outer colonies, it warned. "They test our borders, searching for weakness." But weakness was something the Alliance no longer had. Human warships now carried prism crystal weapons. Meadow technology kept crews fed and healthy on long missions. Wind early warning systems could predict enemy movements before they happened. And soon, with the Deep's help, they would have underwater bases across 100 worlds. In the UN Assembly Hall, General Thompson gave his annual defense report. "The Alliance grows stronger each day," he announced. "Our newest members, the Deeps, have already helped us establish 20 underwater shipyards. The Dominion Empire no longer faces a single species. They face the combined strength of 5 civilizations, with humanity's military might at its core." The High Elder, who now served as a permanent ambassador to Earth, addressed the assembly next. 10 years ago, we came to you seeking protection. You have given us more than safety. You have given us hope. The Dominion thought they could divide and conquer the peaceful species of the galaxy. Instead, they united us under humanity's shield. That evening, Admiral James stood in his office on Luna Base, looking at Earth through the window. The planet glowed with the lights of 1 trillion prism crystals, while meadow farms covered the continents in green, and deep cities sparkled beneath the oceans. Wind monitoring stations drifted in the atmosphere like golden clouds. "Let them come," he said quietly to himself. "The Dominion will learn that peaceful doesn't mean weak. Not anymore. Not with humanity standing guard." The meadow colony world of Green Haven was peaceful in the morning light. Its 3 suns cast multiple shadows across fields of silver-gold grain that stretched to the horizon. The meadow farmers worked quietly, their skin changing colors to match the crops they tended. None of them noticed the dark shapes appearing at the edge of their solar system. In the nebula cloud just 2 light-years away, Admiral James stood on the bridge of the Guardian, watching his tactical display. 20 human warships waited silently, their prism crystal shields making them invisible to normal sensors. The Wind Whisperer's warning had come 3 days ago. The Dominion was finally making its move. Dominion ships entering the system, his sensor officer reported. 5 heavy cruisers, they're not even trying to hide. James nodded grimly. They think they're hunting farmers. They don't expect any resistance. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the fleet. Battle stations. The Dominion ships moved like hungry predators toward Greenhaven. Their black hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, and weapon ports lined their sides like rows of teeth. They were built to intimidate. On the planet's surface, the meadow farmers saw the dark ships appear in their sky. But instead of panicking, they calmly moved toward their underground shelters. They had drilled for this many times. The Dominion commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. Peaceful species of Greenhaven. Your world is now part of the Dominion Empire. Surrender and serve, or be destroyed. James allowed himself a small smile. Let's show them our answer. All ships, execute Battle Plan Thunder. The human fleet erupted from the nebula like lightning. Prism crystal weapons flared brilliant white, their beams cutting through space. The Dominion ships, caught completely by surprise, scattered in confusion. How dare you? The Dominion commander's voice crackled with rage. This is a meadow world. Who are you to interfere? This is Admiral James of the Earth Defense Force. James replied calmly. The meadows are under our protection. You were warned about this. Now you'll learn what that means. The battle that followed was short but fierce. The Dominion ships were powerful, but they had never faced anything like the human fleet. Crystal beams sliced through their shields while deep-designed torpedoes phased through their hulls. Wind technology predicted their every move before they made it. 2 Dominion ships exploded in the first minute. A third tried to retreat but found its engines frozen by a precise crystal strike. The 4th ship managed to launch fighters, but they were quickly overwhelmed by human squadrons using meadow healing technology to repair damage almost instantly. The Dominion commander's flagship was the last to fall. As its engines died and its weapons went dark, James opened a channel one final time. Listen carefully, he said to the defeated commander. This is not just a meadow world. This is an alliance world. Every peaceful species in this galaxy now has humanity standing behind them. Go back to your empire and tell them what you found here. Tell them what happened when you thought you could prey on our allies. The damaged Dominion ships limped away from Greenhaven, leaving behind a graveyard of broken fighters and scattered debris. On the planet below, the meadow farmers emerged from their shelters to find their world completely untouched by the battle. High Elder, watching from the Guardian's observation deck, turned to James. The Dominion will not take this defeat lightly. They will return with a larger fleet. James watched the last Dominion ship disappear into hyperspace. Let them come. Today they learned that humanity's protection isn't just words. Next time, they'll learn what happens when they make us truly angry. In the following days, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. The message was clear. The time when peaceful species could be easily conquered was over. Humanity had drawn a line in space, and they had the power and will to defend it. Commander Kate moved silently through the abandoned space station, her stealth suit blending perfectly with the shadows. After their defeat at Greenhaven, the Dominion had launched a massive propaganda campaign against humanity. Now, floating in the darkness of this forgotten outpost, she was about to discover just how deep their lies went. Movement in Section C, whispered her wind partner through the comlink. The gaseous being had spread through the station's air vents, becoming invisible eyes and ears for the mission. Kate froze, then carefully pulled a crystal recorder from her belt. The prisms had made it specially for this mission. It could capture and store any information it saw, protected by unbreakable encryption. Voices echoed from around the corner. The universal translator in Kate's ear turned them into clear English. The humans must be stopped, a harsh voice said. They protect the weak species we would have easily conquered. Already 3 more worlds have requested their protection this month. Kate's recorder captured everything as she peered around the corner. 5 Dominion officers stood around a holographic display showing a map of the galaxy. Red marks indicated their conquered territories, while blue showed Alliance space. Our slave worlds are rebelling, another officer growled. They've heard about this human protection. They think they can resist us now. The first officer slammed his fist on the table. Show them what happens to rebels. Increase work quotas. Reduce food rations. Break their spirit. Kate had heard enough. She carefully backed away, but her elbow brushed against a metal pipe. The small sound echoed in the quiet station. Intruder. The shout went up immediately. Kate ran. Behind her, heavy boots pounded on metal floors. Her wind partner swirled around her, creating confusion among the pursuers. She pulled out a small sphere, deep technology that could create temporary walls of solid water. Stop her. She has the evidence. Throwing the sphere behind her, Kate didn't slow down. She heard cursing as her pursuers hit the water wall. The station's exit was just ahead, where her small stealth ship waited. Back on Earth, the Alliance Council gathered to hear her report. The crystal recorder projected its contents for all to see. Ambassador Wells sat with representatives from 20 different species. The Alliance had grown considerably since Kate's mission began. The Dominion doesn't just conquer, Kate explained, her face grim. They enslave entire species, force them to work in mines and factories. Those who resist disappear. The High Elder's skin had turned a dark, angry green. We knew they were cruel, but this. There's more, Kate continued. They're planning something big, something they think will break our alliance. I found lists of targeted worlds, peaceful species that haven't joined us yet. General Thompson stood up. Then we'll reach those worlds first, offer them protection before the Dominion can strike. In the following weeks, the Alliance put together rapid response teams. Each team had human soldiers equipped with prism weapons, deep water shields, and wind early warning systems. Meadow technology kept them healthy and alert. They moved fast. When Dominion ships arrived at their targeted worlds, they found human defense fleets already in orbit. World after world joined the Alliance, choosing protection over slavery. The Dominion's response was brutal. They doubled their propaganda efforts, painting humans as warlike savages who forced peaceful species to fight. But Kate's evidence spread through the galaxy like wildfire, showing their true nature. In her office on Luna Base, Kate reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Dominion was gathering a massive fleet. They were done with subtle approaches. Let them come, she said to her wind partner, who swirled anxiously around her. Every species they've hurt, every world they've enslaved. They'll all know the truth now, and they'll know humanity stands ready to protect them. The wind being formed into a roughly humanoid shape. The Dominion thinks breaking our alliance will be easy. Kate smiled grimly. They still don't understand. Humanity doesn't break. We don't bend, and we never, ever abandon our allies. Lieutenant Mark stared at his computer screen in the main security center of Earth's orbital defense station. Something wasn't right. The new maintenance crew members had perfect records, too perfect. In 15 years of service, he had never seen paperwork without a single mistake. Run the scan again, he told his prism partner. The crystalline being glowed softly as it processed the data. They had been working together for months, combining human intuition with prism analytical abilities. These energy patterns are wrong, the crystal sage said. Humans give off specific heat signatures. These are different. Mark leaned forward. Show me. The screen filled with thermal images. Regular humans appeared as red and orange shapes, but 5 of the maintenance crew showed up in purple and blue. Computer, locate maintenance crew members Thompson, Rogers, Lee, Garcia, and Brown, Mark ordered. The station's AI responded immediately. 4 subjects are approaching the main reactor. One subject is near the Defense Control Center. Mark's blood ran cold. The reactor and defense controls, the two most critical systems on the station. He hit the emergency button. Security alert. All personnel, we have infiltrators on board. The station's lights turned red. Blast doors began closing automatically. In the reactor room, 4 of the fake crew members changed shape, their human forms melting away to reveal silver-skinned Dominion agents. "We've been discovered," one shouted. "Begin the sabotage now." But they had already lost their chance. Deep-designed water shields sprang up around the reactor, cutting them off from their target. Wind beams flooded the ventilation system, their gaseous forms detecting every movement. The 5th infiltrator, trying to reach the defense controls, found himself facing Mark and a squad of human security officers. Prism crystals mounted on their weapons glowed with energy. "Surrender," Mark ordered. "You're surrounded." The infiltrator laughed, its human face distorting. "You're too late. Even now, more of us are infiltrating every major alliance facility. Your precious coalition will tear itself apart with suspicion." Mark smiled. "That's what you think. Crystal Sage, show them what we've been working on." The prism being pulsed with bright light, a wave of crystal energy swept through the station, causing the infiltrator's shape-shifting technology to fail completely. Its true form was revealed, a silver-skinned Dominion agent with technological implants covering its body. "We've been developing this detection system for months," Mark explained. "Thanks to our Prism allies, we can now identify any shapeshifter in seconds, and we've already installed it in every major alliance facility." The infiltrator's face showed real fear for the first time. "Impossible. Our technology is perfect." "Not as perfect as our alliance," Mark replied. "Each species brings their own strengths. Together, we cover each other's weaknesses." Within hours, similar scenes played out across Alliance space. Hundreds of Dominion infiltrators were discovered and captured. The Crystal Sage's detection system worked perfectly, seeing through every disguise. In the station's meeting room, Mark gave his report to Admiral James and Commander Kate. They were planning to sabotage our defense systems, then signal their fleet to attack. Instead, we've captured their agents and their technology. Kate studied the captured equipment. "This will help us understand their capabilities better." "Good work, Lieutenant." "The Dominion's getting desperate," Admiral James noted. "First propaganda, then infiltration. They're running out of options." Mark nodded. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with. They think they can break us apart because they don't understand unity. They don't understand friendship." The Crystal Sage glowed in agreement. "They see alliance as weakness. They cannot comprehend how different species can work together so well." "That's their biggest mistake," Admiral James said. "They keep underestimating the power of trust and cooperation, and every time they do, we get stronger." As Mark looked out the station's window at Earth below, he knew the Dominion's next move would be even more aggressive. But he also knew that humanity and its allies would be ready. Together, they were unbeatable. The Dominion attack began at dawn, Earth time. Their massive fleet appeared simultaneously at 12 different Alliance worlds. It was the largest offensive ever launched in known galactic history. Admiral James stood on the bridge of the Guardian, watching tactical displays light up with thousands of enemy ships. "They're really doing it," he said quietly. "They're throwing everything they have at us." The Wind Whisperer's voice came through the command channel. "As predicted, Admiral, they aim to overwhelm us with numbers." Across Alliance space, the battle erupted. At the water world of Deep Prime, Dominion ships found themselves facing Admiral Peter's task force. Human warships dove beneath the waves, using deep technology to fight from underwater, emerging like massive sea creatures to strike. Over the crystal plains of Prism Home, Commander Kate led the defense. Her ship's crystal weapons sliced through Dominion vessels, while prism shields reflected enemy fire back at them. The sky lit up with so many energy beams that it looked like daylight, even at night. At the Meadow Agricultural World of Greenhaven, General Thompson commanded the ground forces. When Dominion troops tried to land, they found themselves facing human soldiers equipped with wind-early warning systems. The humans knew where the enemy would be before they arrived. Multiple breaches in Sector 7. A young officer shouted on the Guardian's bridge. "They're pushing through." Admiral James nodded calmly. "Just as we planned." Lieutenant Mark, activate the AI defense network. Across the battlefield, hundreds of automated defense platforms came to life. The Dominion had expected to face only the ships they could see. Instead, they found themselves caught in a web of hidden defenses, each one combining technology from all Alliance species. The Dominion commander's voice boomed across all channels. "You cannot win. We have 3 ships for every one of yours." "Quality over quantity," James replied simply, then turned to his crew. "All ships, execute battle plan Unity." What followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved with impossible precision, guided by wind forecasting. Their hulls repaired themselves using meadow biotechnology. Deep water shields absorbed enemy fire, while prison weapons struck with perfect accuracy. On a Dominion ship, a gunner turned to his commander in fear. "Sir, they're ships. They're not fighting like separate vessels. They're fighting like one unified force." He was right. The Alliance fleet moved like a single organism, each ship covering the others, no weakness left exposed. Years of training and cooperation had led to this moment. Hour after hour, the battle raged. The Dominion's superior numbers began to mean less and less as their formations broke apart. They had expected to fight separate species with different tactics. Instead, they faced a perfectly unified force that combined the strengths of all its members. "Admiral," Lieutenant Mark reported, "the enemy fleet is losing coherence. Their communications are breaking down." James watched as the mighty Dominion armada began to falter. "Send the signal to all task forces. Begin the counterattack." Across 12 battlefields, the Alliance forces surged forward. Human warships led the charge, their allies' technology making them nearly unstoppable. The Dominion's carefully planned offensive had become a desperate fight for survival. The Dominion commander's voice came again, but this time it shook with disbelief. "How? How can you be defeating us? We had everything planned perfectly." "That's your problem," James replied. "You planned to fight against separate species, but we're not separate anymore. Humanity doesn't just protect its allies. We learn from them, grow with them, become stronger together." As the battle entered its final hours, the Dominion fleet began to retreat. Their losses were staggering. The Alliance had lost ships too, but their unified strategy had won the day. On the Guardian's bridge, James watched the enemy ships flee. The High Elder stood beside him, its skin glowing with pride and relief. "This is a historic moment," the High Elder said. "Never before has any force defeated a full Dominion assault." James smiled grimly. "They wanted to break our alliance. Instead, they proved just how unbreakable it is." The neutral zone hung silent in space, a region where no empire had claimed territory. Here, amid the scattered asteroids and dying stars, humanity would deliver its final message to the Dominion Empire. Admiral James stood on the Guardian's bridge, now bearing scars from the recent battles. Behind his flagship, 5,000 Alliance ships waited in perfect formation. Each vessel showed signs of combat, but they all flew proudly, representing every species in the Alliance. "Dominion diplomatic vessel approaching," Lieutenant Mark announced. "They're following the agreed terms. 1 ship, minimal weapons." The Dominion ship emerged from hyperspace. It was smaller than their usual warships, but still dark and threatening in design. On its hull, the symbol of the Dominion Empire gleamed dully. "Open communication channel," James ordered. The main screen lit up, showing the Dominion High Commander. His silver skin was marked with ceremonial scars, and his eyes burned with barely contained rage. "Speak your terms, human," He spat the word like an insult. You've won some battles. Now you think you can dictate to the Dominion Empire. James smiled slightly. No, we're not here to dictate. We're here to educate. With a signal from James, Commander Kate transmitted the evidence she had gathered. Images of enslaved worlds, recordings of Dominion cruelty, proof of their attempts at infiltration. Everything played across all channels. The galaxy now knows what you are, James continued. Every species knows what happens to those who surrender to you. But they also know there's another choice. Behind the Guardian, the Alliance fleet lit up their engines in sequence. Human ships glowed blue, prism ships sparkled like crystals, deep ships rippled like water, wind ships shimmered like air, and meadow ships pulsed with living light. Look at our fleet, James said. Really look at it. Every ship is different. Every species brings its own strengths. We don't demand that our allies serve us. We ask how we can serve each other. The Dominion commander's face twisted. Pretty words. But what are your demands? Simple. You will free every enslaved world in your empire. You will withdraw from the territories you've conquered. You will sign a treaty recognizing the right of all peaceful species to exist without fear. And if we refuse, James's voice hardened, then what happened in the recent battle will seem like a practice run. We've only shown you a fraction of what we can do together. To emphasize his point, every Alliance ship activated their weapons. The combined energy signatures made sensors across 3 sectors light up with warnings. You have 1 standard month to begin freeing your slave worlds, James continued. After that, we start freeing them ourselves. And trust me, you don't want that. The Dominion commander's rage finally broke through. You would dare threaten us. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Your time is over, James replied calmly. The age of empires and slavery is finished. This is the age of alliance and cooperation. Adapt to it, or be left behind in history. After the Dominion ship departed, the Alliance Council gathered on the Guardian. Representatives from 30 different species now filled the conference room, with more joining every day. Will they accept the terms? The High Elder asked. James nodded. They don't have a choice. Their own people are already rebelling, inspired by our example. The Dominion Empire is dying. They just don't know it yet. Ambassador Wells smiled. Who would have thought, 10 years ago, that humanity would change the galaxy so much? We didn't change it alone, James replied. We just showed everyone a better way. Together, we're stronger than any empire could ever be. As the Guardian turned toward Earth, James looked at his crew, humans working seamlessly alongside beings of crystal, water, gas, and living plants. This was humanity's real message to the galaxy. True strength comes not from conquest, but from cooperation. Not from demanding obedience, but from earning trust. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if the galaxy itself was looking toward a better future. A future where no species needed to fear the strong, because the strong had become protectors instead of conquerors. Humanity had drawn a line in space, and the galaxy was better for it.